Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to be shedding light on how to successfully live the nomadic life. So how do you successfully live the nomadic life? What prudent, what precautionary, what strategic, what anodyne measures do you need to implement in order to be able to successfully live the nomadic life? Without further ado, without further delay, allow me to demystify that answer to that inquiry right here, right now. There are ample measures that you can undergo in order to be able to successfully live the nomadic life. The nomadic life is not immutable. You can tailor your life so that you are able to embrace living the nomadic life. In other words, you do not have to be an extreme nomad to embrace living the nomadic life. The formula for how to live the nomadic life successfully is not set in stone. Not every nomad has to be an avowed, devout, hardcore minimalist. Not every nomad has to have relatively few possessions. There are options out there. So, one facet of successfully living the nomadic life entails minimizing your recurring expenses. If you can minimize your recurring expenses, it is all the more easier, all the more of a seamless process to embrace living the nomadic life. Having recurring expenses may keep you bogged down to a job site. It may keep you tethered to an employer. It may cause you to have to earmark an exorbitant amount of time each and every week just to be able to cover your recurring expenses. So, minimizing your recurring expenses can entail parting with your possessions. Having ample possessions is expensive. People typically mortgage their lives away in order to be able to have a capacious, spacious home to house their possessions in. Even though the paradox is that when you finance your home with some mortgage, you wind up mortgaging your future away, and your home, essentially, metaphorically speaking, winds up owning you because your life is dedicated to financing the mortgage payments on your home, rather than being at purview to live your life however you deem fit. So, successfully living the nomad life, being able to avail yourself of the opportunity to live the nomadic life, entails minimizing your recurring expenses. Nomads are typically discontent with perpetually leasing a storage unit to retain their possessions. They typically only retain the essentials, whatever can fit in their backpack, and/slash or their vehicle. Most people do not need ample possessions to be able to survive. It does amplify your standard of living if you have access to more possessions. However, it does come at a cost. You need to be able to house those possessions in perpetuity, which can be expensive, and your life can become overcluttered if it is inundated, if it is deluged, if it is overwhelmed with possessions. So just bear that in mind. Possessions are also distractions from allowing you to experience living your life. For instance, if you own a capacious, spacious home, when your house is in a state of disarray, it diverts your time away from being able to bask in rich experiences. When you need to maintain a home, organize a home, sift through your possessions, it is diverting your time away from experiencing other facets of your life. I guess, at the end of the day, succinctly stated, everything comes at a cost. So, you can relinquish your possessions by selling them on the second-hand market. If you have a home, you can part with that as well. As per your transportation, To live the nomadic life, you do not need a vehicle. However, it is much easier to live the nomadic life if you have a vehicle, such as a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle or an RV. If you have an RV, you do not need to pivot from hostel to hostel, nor from couch to couch. It may bear a higher cost of living relative to owning a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. But at the same time, the cost savings from not needing to stay at hostels may preponderantly outweigh the cost of not owning a vehicle and renting a room in a hostel. You'd have to do the math to ascertain which one is less expensive in the long haul. The lowest priced option is to more than likely own a small vehicle and sleep inside your vehicle. However, if you want access to certain amenities and certain luxuries and are unwilling to live in a small vehicle, such as a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, then an RV may be a lower priced cost of living option relative to pivoting from hostel to hostel. And finding couches to sleep on may not be a viability. So, minimize your recurring expenses and do not be weighed down, do not be bogged down, do not be burdened with owning ample possessions if you want to successfully live the nomadic life. Another facet to successfully living the nomadic life entails being able to become profoundly successful as an entrepreneur. You want to have your income generating assets as an aggregate generate enough revenue to offset your recurring expenses. You do not want to be tethered to an employer. You want the autonomy to travel whenever you deem fit and not remain at a work site for a prolonged period of time if you're disinterested in continuing to pursue a particular employee job. So, as a nomad, you can double as an entrepreneur or even as a freelancer, and you can produce income generating assets such as videos, archivable live stream broadcasts, songs, podcast episodes, audiobooks, ebooks, custom-made print-on-demand merchandise, online courses, software applications, mobile games, customizable templates, and of course, photos. You want to be able to wean yourself off any employer. I understand that nomads typically pivot from job to job, but your best bet is to cultivate behemoth brands across a multitude of disparate social media platforms and also hone in on growing a prodigious content reservoir in tandem with a prodigious product catalog. Your products should be meritorious and should be able to assuage unmet needs among your target market. Your content should also be meritorious and should be able to assuage unmet needs among your target market. Ensure that the content that you produce is engagement-worthy, like-worthy, share-worthy, algorithm recommendation-worthy, bio-worthy content that is apt to yield high engagement rates, high viewership rates, high watch times, and high audience retention rates. You want your content to build traction and transcend into becoming viral content. You want your products to build traction and transcend into becoming viral products. The outcomes can be life-altering if your content and products attain viral status. You want to be able to leverage behemoth brands, You want to be able to leverage your behemoth brands on social media platforms as post and marketing vehicles to vector your target market to your product pages where they have the autonomy to procure your product offerings from. You want to be able to automate marketing activities. Furthermore, you want to be able to have a multitude of recurring revenue streams. You want to be able to earn advertising revenue, subscription revenue, sponsorship revenue, product placement revenue, recurring donation revenue, sales revenue, and affiliate marketing revenue. Do not be dependent on one income stream. It can be very precarious, especially when you're not guaranteed a penny as an entrepreneur, and your success will be predicated upon whether or not your target market deems your content and your products to be worthy of consumption. So, double as an entrepreneur. At any given moment, as an employee, you could be furloughed, laid off, or the company can become defunct. If you want to be a nomad, you do not want to be tethered to employers in perpetuity for the rest of your life. You do not want to have to constantly find new seasonal jobs. You want to be able to wean yourself off employers. The revenue that you receive from employers just provides a pittance of a non-subsistence wage. It just provides ephemeral, fleeting, short-term relief. You want to be able to build substantial brand equity, build substantial brand recognition, and attain strong brand loyalty. You want to be able to build behemoth brands across a multitude of popular social media platforms. So hone in on cultivating brand growth. Become a dominant market competitor in the niche user-generated content markets that you compete in. Become a dominant market competitor in the niche product markets that you compete in. Do everything in your purview to grow your market share as you're vying to amplify your market share in the niche markets that you compete in. Strategically work hard as an entrepreneur. If you do so, and if you are profoundly successful as an entrepreneur, it can redound to your advantage. Attaining extreme fame leverage can even be a precursor to attaining extreme wealth. If you become an influencer, you can be so successful as a prolific influencer to the extent that marketers, companies, brands are willing to pay $1 million just to have a product placement featured in your content if you have hundreds of millions of followers that are subsumed under the company's target market. Kylie Jenner earns $1 million per product placement she sells in the form of an Instagram photo. Brands know that if they buy a product placement from her for $1 million, that their product placement will populate in the feeds of hundreds of millions of people. You want to become the media by having hundreds of millions of followers who are supportive of your content. That confers to you leverage. Having extreme fame leverage is life-altering. So, do everything in your purview to become profoundly successful as an entrepreneur, as you are living the nomadic life. Once you have become profoundly successful as an entrepreneur, you may not even need to work in any capacity in the future, because your monetizable intellectual properties have the latent potential to generate revenue in perpetuity, even past your lifetime. Just like multi-billion-dollar media franchises that still generate revenue to this day, even past the lifetimes of their creators. Another facet of successfully living the nomadic life entails embracing house optimization measures. You want to be able to optimize your house. You do not want your house to wane or atrophy. You want to be able to attain robust, vigorous, optimal health. You want to have stellar health. So, you can do so by taking vegan supplements each and every day to avert succumbing to nutrient deficiencies, and in order to optimize your nutrient levels. You never want your nutrient levels to be subpar. You always want them to be optimized. Furthermore, another measure associated with optimizing your house entails embracing following a wholesome, salubrious, heart healthy, kidney healthy, brain healthy, anti-cancer, anti-diabetic, anti-inflammatory, anti-glycation, antioxidant rich, alkaline, nutrient dense, raw fruitarian diet. Foods subsumed under the raw fruitarian diet are fruits and vegetables. You want to be imbued with energy. You want to be able to eat foods that are replete with macronutrients, micronutrients, phytonutrients, vitamins, minerals, fiber, antioxidants, and other salubrious compounds. Do not shirk on optimizing your house. You want to be able to prolong your life, stave off inflammation, averse succumbing to lethal, debilitating, perilous, hazardous, life-altering, chronic diseases. So, those are some measures that you can institute in order to successfully live the nomadic life. You should also partake in heart-healthy exercises. You should also embrace an optimistic outlook on life. You should also embrace an abundance mindset. And do not be imprisoned in a state of fear. Do not have a higher negative to positive thought ratio. Be optimistic. Your brain is constantly in flux due to neuroplasticity. You can be a pioneer of your own destiny. Think positive thoughts. And do everything in your purview to thrive, prosper, and flourish. And to actualize your latent potential. You want to be able to reach your higher aspirations and your overarching goals. Do not allow yourself to be impeded, nor encumbered, nor stifled, nor stymied. You never want to stagnate. You never want to regress. You always want to be able to manifest the quintessential version of yourself into reality. And as a nomad, you have more time to foster personal growth in your life. You have more time to cultivate personal development in your life. You have more time to pursue your hobbies and interests. You can monetize your hobbies and interests. You're not pigeonholed. You're not siloed into living your life in a particular way. You can pivot from environment to environment. You can pivot from job to job. You can pivot from hobby to hobby. However you decide to live your life is up to you as a nomad. As a nomad, you are at liberty to be a pioneer of your own destiny. And as a nomad, you have far more freedom than someone who's tethered to an abode, to their domicile, and needs to work 100 hours per week at least to be able to finance their mortgage payments and their high, lofty cost of living. So as a nomad, to recapitulate real briefly, hone in on embracing house optimization measures, hone in on minimizing your cost of living, and hone in on pursuing entrepreneurial pursuits so that you could wean yourself off of being tethered to employers in the future. Employers just provide you with ephemeral, fleeting, short-lived, short-term relief. You want to be able to attain extreme wealth in the pending future. I hope that you found this video to be insightful and enthralling. If you have extreme wealth, then you may never need to work another day in your life to sustain your standard of living. Once again, I hope that you deemed this video to be captivating, engrossing, as well as informative. The path of a nomad is seldomly tread down. Most people are trepidatious about treading down that path and do not have the audacity to do so. However, it does allow you to live a much more fulfilling life if that is one of your overarching goals. Living the nomad life. Living a nomadic life allows you to live a life that is rich with experiences, and that is less cluttered with possessions. Nomads have relatively few possessions, and they're typically reticent, they're typically recalcitrant, they're typically disinclined to lease a storage unit to pay for needless possessions. Once again, I hope that you found this video to be insightful. Have a blissful day. Goodbye.